Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome North Carolina Board of Transportation member Lisa Mathis.
Good morning. I hope you all enjoyed the opening session. I have to say, as a Gen X, I felt very seen, so thank you, Alicia. Really appreciated that. We have got another terrific transportation summit for you this year. If you haven't already, please download our event app. Also log in. If you can't answer the questions, it's because you haven't logged in, so you might want to do that now. That way, you can access event details, the schedule, and participate in our poll questions. Our state is seeing a lot of job growth and new investment, particularly in my division. My fellow board members are very jealous. How transportation is driving that growth is the focus of our first general session. Before we get started, please take a minute to answer this poll question using your app. Which modes of transportation do you think North Carolina should invest more in to recruit industry and corporate headquarters? You may choose up to 3. You've got public transportation, rail, highway, airports, ports, and EV infrastructure. We'll review the results shortly. We are very fortunate to have a great moderator for our session. He's the CEO at the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. His agency works very hard to recruit new industry. Please welcome Chris Chung.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you backstage.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Lisa. It is such a pleasure to be with everyone today to talk about an extremely important topic as it pertains to economic development in our state. In case you missed it earlier from the governor and from Chairman Mike Fox, North Carolina had a banner year for economic development in 2022, thanks to the work of a lot of partners working together towards this important objective. More than 150 corporate expansion and location announcements last year. That represented nearly 29,000 new jobs and more than $19 billion of capital investment. By any definition, a phenomenal performance that built on another record year before that in 2021. At the heart of each of these decisions by companies to locate and expand in our state, transportation infrastructure was absolutely a key factor. In many cases, it is one of the most important factors driving these decisions on where companies locate new facilities and operations. Transportation infrastructure, as you can imagine, is relevant for site selection decisions involving manufacturing, food processing, distribution and fulfillment, even office projects, especially as it pertains to public transportation and how workers might get to and from the workplace. And of course, we're not just talking about roads and highways. When we talk about the importance of transportation, we're talking air, rail, water, transit. All of these modes of travel are critical to moving products and goods, as well as people all across our state, all across the country, all around the world. A robust transportation network is absolutely necessary for North Carolina to remain competitive in this global economy for new investment, job creation, and development. We're going to dive into these topics today with a fantastic panel. I'm super excited for everybody to hear the perspectives that each of these business leaders will be sharing with you about their companies, their industries, and most importantly, why they decided to put roots down in North Carolina. Quick word of note, some of you have made a notice in the program that we are missing our 4th panelist today. Jennifer Caruso from Pratt & Whitney was scheduled to be with us. She actually got as far as flying into Raleigh earlier this week, checking into the hotel, but unfortunately had an emergency family situation arise, had to turn right back around and fly back. I hope you'll keep her and her family in your thoughts. Pratt & Whitney, in case you hadn't heard, since she's not here to tell it herself, they have actually opened a state-of-the-art aircraft engine components manufacturing facility serving the commercial and defense industries out in Asheville. And that is a prime example how, but for DOT and local partners able to fund a new bridge and road over the French Broad River and Interstate 26, that project with its $600 million of investment and 800 high-paying advanced manufacturing jobs would not have located in Asheville would not be here in North Carolina. So again, underscoring what you're going to hear from all our panelists today about the vital role that transportation infrastructure plays in our state's economic competitiveness. Before I introduce you to our speakers, let's first see how everybody rated the different modes of transportation. The results are up here on screen for us to take a look at. So it looks like, by far, highways were rated as the most important, followed, it looks like, by rail and public transportation. And then we've got EV infrastructure, ports, and airports. It'll be interesting to see as we ask this question year over year how some of these priorities end up shifting in this audience's mind. But with that, we're going to go ahead and dive right into the panel discussion and hear from our panelists today. Each of the panelists today are representing new and expanding industry that has chosen to locate and invest in our state. First up to the stage, I'd like to introduce Sean Suggs, who is the president of Toyota Battery Manufacturing North Carolina. In his role, Sean is directing Toyota's newest plant in North America, overseeing the construction and start of production at this $3.8 billion facility. Now, I'll ask everyone to hold their applause till we got all three panelists up here, and then we'll dive right into the conversation. I want to also welcome Vinang Nguyen. Vinang is with VinFast. She's an automotive executive with extensive experience building manufacturing facilities, launching new brands, and managing a global team. Please welcome to the stage Vinang Nguyen. And then last, but certainly not least, our last panelist has been general counsel and corporate secretary at North Carolina-based Wolfspeed for nearly a decade. Before that, he was a top attorney for MEMC Electronic Materials Company, where he led business development as well for a period of time. Let's welcome Brad Cohn, as well as all three of our panelists this morning for a great discussion. So here's how it's going to work. Each of our panelists is going to give a brief presentation, again, touching on their company, their plans here in North Carolina, and most importantly, of course, the role of transportation in what they're doing here in our state. We're then going to have a facilitated Q&A session. And if we've got a little bit of time at the tail end, we're certainly going to welcome audience questions. You've got a couple of microphones down each of these two center aisles. Certainly encourage people to ask those questions if we've got time in the session. With that, I'm going to turn it over again to Sean Suggs with Toyota Battery North Carolina to kick us off. Thank you, Sean.
All right, thank you very much. How's everybody doing today? So good to see you all, and thanks for this great opportunity, Department of Transportation, for allowing us to come here today. And I just want to tell you, speaking on behalf of Toyota North America, I'm really, really excited to be here. Most importantly, Toyota North Carolina, we're really, really excited to be here, to be a part of this great state. I've got roots here. My mom's from North Carolina, so it's near and dear to my heart, I can tell you that. Let's talk about Toyota real quick. If you look at the slide, this shows the significant investment that we're having in this state, over $3 billion. The team member count that you see there, we have over 2,100 planned, and my hope and goal is for that number to continue to increase and increase. In our short period of time here, we've already donated over $1 million for the community, because as we all know, we can build great batteries, et cetera, but we also have to take care of our community, and we plan to do that for the long haul. So what products will we build here? We're going to be the battery electrification hub for North America. We will have hybrid batteries built here, and also the all-electric batteries built here as well for all the North America vehicles that we produce in several locations across this great country that we live in. So what about the site? That is actually a picture of last week, believe it or not. We started the construction a little while ago, but we finally have 4 walls up in our first building. That's our hybrid electric battery building. And I will tell you that you could see that progress. It's on 1,800 acres, but obviously that takes a lot of work to pull something like that off. We came here and decided to be in North Carolina because of the great people that we have in this great state, but also the logistics infrastructure. We believe that the high education that we're going to have here to hire team members is phenomenal. Just in the radius that we're in, we've got so many great colleges and universities. and having an outstanding, diverse workforce. I will tell you that I started at Toyota 25 years ago as a team member on the production shop floor. 9 promotions later and 25 years later, I stand before you as the president of Toyota North America. So dreams can come true, and a workforce, a diverse workforce, is what we're striving for. We're making great progress, and the DOT is a big part of that. So what about our timeline? I know this is a busy slide, but there's a couple of key points I want to mention to you. We started our leadership team hiring. That just happened maybe a few months ago. The site prep is going amazing. The only delay we've had in our site prep is weather. If it stopped raining, man, we'll be good to go. But that's the only thing that's stopping us. The construction site is moving along tremendously. We're going to have our first fall supplier conference in February. We're going to do that next month. And we're going to start hiring team members, our full-time team members that will be actually producing batteries mid-year. So yes, we are hiring. And I will tell you this, our start of production, it may seem like a far time away in 25, but trust me when I tell you, it'll be here before you know it. Now, what about our facility? The star of the show, really, right? How we're going to be able to produce the batteries that we're going to produce. With the collaborative effort that we've had in this state, from the governor all the way down to the mayor of Liberty, the great town that we'll be residing in, this facility is going to be world class. It's going to be the highest technology facility that Toyota's ever built, and we're going to have the highest skilled team members that Toyota's ever had. So I want you to take a look at this video that we have here. Round of applause for that. If that doesn't get you excited. Every time I see that video, I get so excited. I know I'm not physically in there yet, but I get like, I'm ready to go to work right now. So that's all I have for you today. I just want to let you know again how excited we are to be in this great state. And we look forward to the partnership that we're going to have. I tell everybody this story all the time. When we come to your state and your community, we have no expiration date. We're here for the long haul. And I really appreciate you allowing me to be on this stage today. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Great to meet you here today. My name is Van Anh Nguyen, and I know it's a little bit difficult to pronounce my name, but a lot of people call me Ann. It's fine too. I am the CEO of VinFast USA, and as you may know, VinFast is the global electric vehicle brand, and we have plans to contribute to revolutionize the automotive industry. And most importantly, we are building our very first U.S. manufacturing complex right here in our state. And I can tell you, I feel very emotional today because exactly 9 months ago, VinFast leadership stood on the stage right here at the Raleigh Convention Center. And together with Governor Cooper and leaders from the General Assembly And we signed the largest economic development agreement in state history. So now I'm back here again. So I feel very honored and very emotional here today for that reason. As of today, we have made significant progress on developing our site. It looks so much different from the time that we received the site. And we have launched 4 all-new full electric vehicles. And we are planning to manufacture all those vehicles right here in our manufacturing complex in North Carolina. I'm honored to be here once again today and proud to call North Carolina my home, my personal home, and also the future home of our company, VinFast USA. And now, instead of me talking, I'd like to invite you to watch a brief video that tells you about our company, our journey, our products. And those products that you will see in this video that will be running off the production lines at our plant here in our state. So please, let's watch the video then.
VinFast is implementing its 800-hectare factory project in North Carolina that will go into operation starting July 2024 with a capacity of 150 vehicles per year for Phase 1. Millions of VinFast EVs emerging from this plant will provide safe, convenient, and exciting experiences that inspire and create a smart, sustainable future. VinFast has 3 core pillars: premium quality, reasonable prices, and outstanding service. VinFast EVs are designed by leading European design houses and offer stunning appearances and unrelenting performance and safety. VinFast EVs are equipped with smart technologies for the most advanced journeys.
This felt very comfortable and natural the first time driving it.
Cool, fun, safe, and bonus, awesome. I really enjoyed it.
The drive was amazing.
For a green future for everyone, VinFast aspires to become a smart electric vehicle brand that drives the movement of the global electric vehicle revolution. Always putting the customer at the center, VinFast constantly innovates to create the highest quality products and excellent experiences for everyone. VinFast is always expanding the market with flexible sales policies to create opportunities for more people to access electric mobility. VinFast, a global brand from Vietnam. Friendly for customers. Boundless together. Towards a green, smart, and sustainable future.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Brad Cohn. I am the General Counsel of Wolfspeed. I've been the General Counsel of Wolfspeed for about 10 years. Actually, that's not true. I've been the General Counsel of Wolfspeed for about 15 months. Prior to that, I was the General Counsel of Cree. Most of you probably know us as Cree. Cree lighting, Cree LEDs. We had the first LED light bulb that really hit the market and changed the market. About 15 months ago, we changed our name to Wolfspeed because we're focusing now on our power semiconductor business. Let me say now, by the way, I don't have a video. They didn't tell me I was supposed to bring a video. I would have brought a video, but they didn't tell me. Sorry about that. So anyway, our purpose is to take our technology, which is silicon carbide technology, and literally change the world. What I mean by that is our technology, our silicon carbide technology, helps EVs go faster, helps you have a smaller battery in the same footprint, and we really think it's a game changer, and the market is telling us it's a game changer. We are the world leader no doubt, in silicon carbide technology. We've been working on it for more than 35 years. It started in a lab just down the street at NC State. About 5 or 6 really smart PhD students kind of figured it out and just started growing it all. And what they've built now, 35 years later, is kind of amazing. Everything in the world is being electrified. Obviously, cars is the biggest one and the biggest current market opportunity for us. But everything that takes electricity or uses electricity could benefit from the use of silicon carbide technology. And that's where we come in because, again, we're the world leader in that. When I say that we're the world leader, in the last 35 years that we've existed, we've produced, in Durham, North Carolina, over 90% of the world's silicon carbide. That's kind of crazy to think about at a certain level. And today, we still have about 60% market share. And with these markets exploding, that means that we, Wolfspeed, have to really giddy up and get going on being able to produce all of that silicon carbide for the world. Now, we're a little different at Wolfspeed than a lot of semiconductor companies, or should I say silicon semiconductor companies, or the Intels of the world, because we're vertically integrated. And what that means is we actually manufacture the silicon carbide boules, and then we slice them into substrates, and then put epitaxial layers on them. And then interestingly enough, we also sell those substrates to our competitors in the power device market. All of the world's big power device companies, Infineon, STMicro, Rohm, onsemi, buy from us. So it's a little strange, but because we're the ones that have the most silicon carbide, they buy from us. A little bit more about Wolfspeed. We are a US manufacturer. We have manufacturing here in Durham. We have it also in RTP. We have manufacturing up in Mohawk Valley, New York. We have manufacturing in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Morgan Hill, California. And then we have a lab in Mesa. And then we have sales offices and labs kind of around the world. Our Mohawk Valley fab, which we started pushing the dirt on March 30th, 2020, good timing if you do the math. It was something. Trying to build a brand new fab on a mud field in the middle of COVID was fun, but it's done. We're running qual lots there right now, and we expect to get revenue from that fab by the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th. Now this baby. We also announced recently with our friends of EDPNC and the governor and the General Assembly the world's largest silicon carbide materials facility, again, where we grow the substrates and use them ourselves or sell them to our competitors. That's down the road in Siler City, just down 64 from our current plant in Durham, just down the 421 from Greensboro, where we're another population center, and we also have a partnership with NCA&T up in Greensboro. And we could not be more excited about that. We announced the deal with the governor and team on September 9th, a Friday, and on Monday we were moving dirt. We're blowing stuff up out there all the time. It's kind of awesome. I get videos from the team where we're like, there's a big explosion, I pray, like, just please tell me nobody was around. So we're moving stuff there. And that factory, the Siler City factory, is going to be, like I said, the world's largest, but it's going to be more than 10 times the size, more than 10x the capacity of our current footprint. Now think about that. We currently, out of the current footprint, produce 60% of the world's silicon carbide, and we're going to do that by 10x. So that's why it's massive. In fact, if you look at the far left corner, the little jut out, that's about the size of our current facility in Durham. Kind of gives you some understanding of the scope there. This facility is going to have 1,800 new jobs by the end of the decade. If you know anybody, please send me an application. It'll be 1 million square feet. We couldn't be more excited about that facility and the partnership we've had with the state to put that facility just down the road. We're also expanding like crazy in Durham. I came from the office this morning, and it's a construction zone. You can't get around without running into some construction. So I want to wrap up my presentation here by just saying what we do to manufacture silicon carbide, we really do believe it's going to change the world, because it's going to allow for the electrification of everything, obviously starting with the internal combustion engine. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chris. Thank you very much.
Well, Sean, Vinay, Brad, thank you so much for the presentations. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into what each of these companies is doing and what their plans are for North Carolina. At this time, we're going to get into a little bit more discussion. We wrap this session up in about 50 minutes. So the nice thing is I've got a list of questions here that we'll hopefully be able to get through, but I believe we'll be able to get in some questions from the audience as well. So just a reminder, when we get to that point in the conversation, there's a couple of mics in each of these two center aisles. So please step on up, and I'll make sure to call on you at that time. The first question for each of you as business leaders who've been involved in these major investments that have happened in North Carolina: why North Carolina? Help us understand the process. I work every day, very lucky to work every day with Secretary Michelle Sanders. She's our Secretary of Commerce here in North Carolina. We're partners in crime every day trying to persuade companies that this is the best location for their future growth. But help us understand from your business perspectives how that process works, and ultimately, why did you each choose North Carolina for these transformative investments? Vinay, we'll start with you, and then Sean, and then we'll wrap up with you, Brad.
This is lady first.
Yeah,
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is interesting questions. And actually, I myself also received a lot of like the similar questions like that. And VinFast, when we are searching for the locations, we have clear, criteria what we need. And I can tell some of the criteria and critical. And the first one is probably that's the deciding factor was the availability of the master site. VinFast way is Vin very fast. We don't want to wait. So the availability of the site, it's like helps us get started right away. So we can work with our partners right away, starting like designing, the layout of the site, and look at that, and hiring, necessary consultant working on the project. So it's very key that we got the site that's ready. The second is the dedications and commitment of the team when we work with. So they made it happen. And I understand that in the opening, when we signed the MOU, Governor also said that this is also like the timing from we start working on the project until we sign, it's like super fast. And I would like to thank Governor Cooper, Speaker Moore, and also Senator Berger as well, and all of the state and local leaders and the team that make it happen that fast. And also, very important is the labor workforce, the skilled labor and educated workforce, the state universities and the private universities, and also community college as well. It's have the reputation of produce skilled and educated workforce, but I feel a little bit of competitiveness right now. Everyone's talking, at least two of our partners here and right here try to recruit already. So I feel a little bit of competitiveness here. So maybe we need to hire or recruit more people and more workforce into the state, or we need to slow down a bit. So yeah, I think, and also our state was known like #1 for business. That one is like secret, it's out already. So I think those are the main key factors for us to choose why we choose this place to be our home for VinFast USA.
So real estate, teamwork, the labor force, those are some
and
great...
the leadership, the dedication and commitment
Yes,
absolutely.
it's certainly
Very important.
important.
Yeah.
Sean, how about you? Take us through the process of how Toyota arrived in Greensboro in
Can-
Liberty.
Can I just say ditto to that and move on? No. Outstanding answer, and it literally is so similar for Toyota. I mean, when we thought about sites, think about this, we have 13 operating facilities across North America, 47,000 team members, and when we're looking for a place new, we always look for that culture fit. Will it be a great culture fit? Will the people of North Carolina embrace us? Can we embrace them? Are the communities, will they embrace us? We're always looking for that culture fit. And everything that Ann said, it's like, we were like, wow, you really were gonna have a site in the middle of all these great towns and universities and opportunities. We really got excited about that. And the other thing that I will say is the partnerships, the groundswell, the foundations, the mayor's office, the governor's office, everyone that supported this endeavor for us, it's been a one-team spirit. It really has. And the beauty about it, I showed you pictures of the progress that we're making on site. That hasn't stopped. Those relationships have not stopped. Hey, what do you need? How can we help? Is everything progressing to the plan? What can we shift or adjust? So the beauty about coming to this great state of North Carolina are the relationships that you can develop. And they had us at hello when it came to that. And they've held up to everything that they said they were going to do, which is really important to us.
Great. Great answer as well, Sean. Brad?
We were already here. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, but in all seriousness, though, so we have both a fab currently in Durham and an RTP, and we also had a materials factory in Durham, and we could have put the next materials factory anywhere if we'd have wanted to, but because of what that technology is for us, and that is the most proprietary technology we have, that's why, and because it's so proprietary, that's why we have the market share we have. We had a huge desire that, if possible, we wanted to be about an hour from Durham or less. Mm-hmm. We wanted to be about an hour from Greensboro or less with our partnership with NC-A&T. And so we started looking around North Carolina to see if that was going to be possible. When we found out that it was going to be possible, then we began the work of talking with Chris's team. I mean, Chris's team absolutely hated me by the end of the process, I'm certain. And working with the governor's office and working with the assembly and the Senate, and trying to figure out the right combination of things that we could stand up and say, yes, we're going to bring these amount of jobs, we're going to invest $5 billion in capital and buildings. You know, how does that work out? And the only reason we could have done that is because we knew that North Carolina could produce for us the types of people we need. We need way more. I mean, adding 1,800 more jobs. I mean, we're literally at this point going to 8th graders and trying to get them interested in a technician's type role. You know, not everybody has to go to college. I'm sorry, you don't. But, you know, go to a 2-year and get a technician's role. So we're literally out there in the junior highs right now trying to recruit our future workforce. We're going to beat you to them. So, I mean, that's why, though, I mean, we knew North Carolina was awesome. And then the question is, could we find the right spot in North Carolina? And we did.
That's great. And that's certainly a unique perspective on this stage. A company that's done business here was founded here. I want to circle back to the labor issue in a second in terms of how each of your companies are approaching hiring in this kind of labor market. But first off, I want to talk about transportation infrastructure. We are at a transportation summit talking about all modes of transportation and how they contribute to our economic vitality. Help us understand how that comes up in these decisions for each of your companies. What are you looking at? I'm sure it's more than roads, highways, rail. Maybe you're looking at seaport access. Maybe you're looking at air service. Help us understand that role of transportation infrastructure relative to these investment decisions. And Sean, maybe we'll start with you, then Vinang, and then Brad.
Yeah, it's a big deal, obviously. It's a big cog on why you come, to be honest with you. Are the railways good, up to date? Your highways? You know, the one thing that I've really been impressed with about Now, I'm in the city of Raleigh, so I'm speaking for Greensboro right now. Raleigh members may think a little differently, but I really do believe that Greensboro, you always hear people say, well, you're about 20 minutes away from there, or you're about 20 minutes away from there, you're 20 minutes away from there. And it's so true. It's because they've designed their infrastructure from a roadway perspective allows you to connect and get to places very, very quickly. So that also got us really excited, right? But we also know that those things need to advance, you know, the roadways, the railways, the seaports, et cetera. And we had a vibe that what we call at Toyota Kaizen, or continuous improvement, that's going to continue. So that got us really excited. But to your point, it's extremely important. Once you produce this product, you got to get it to the customer somehow, right? So all of those means of transportations or mode of transportations have to be solid and robust.
Yeah.
And North Carolina is delivering that.
It's almost table stakes, if you will,
Absolutely.
to be in a particular location.
Absolutely.
Vinang, how did you all look at the transportation infrastructure as you evaluated sites for this new facility?
Well, actually, that is one of the reasons we also look at the infrastructure here as well, whether, you know, we are close to ports, you know, railway, because producing a car, you know, you can imagine a car has like hundreds of parts, and then we have to move and transport the parts from all over the world to come here and within USA as well. So we have to look at all those things. And North Carolina, it's offering that. So before we make a decision, of course, we have to met with the ports, and we look at, you know, so from here, the parts is coming from everywhere to the ports and to us, whether it's doing like rail or trucking or what's the, you know, we also look at the optimal way of operation, the supply chain as well. And also when we produce cars, so from here, how we transport the cars to like our showrooms in all of the North Americas and to our customers as well. So, but like he said, it's Kaizen, right? So we also expect to see a lot of improvements, and that's why, you know, NCDOT is doing this and having a lot of projects that is going on, and I know that the state is also having a lot of commitments into building a better and, you know, very advanced transportation infrastructure as well.
Great.
So
Thanks for
looking forward to that.
Great. Brad, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so not much, because, you know, we don't make things that are as big as a car or a battery, right? We make, you know, I mean, the chips are literally like this, and, you know, when we have a cassette of wafers, it's about that size. So the ports and the railway is not something we concern ourselves about. We're more about the, you know, 421 corridor, 64, being able to get to RDU. I mean, there's times where we will fly our parts to customers if, you know, they need them urgently. So from that perspective, totally get the ports and the railway for you guys, but that's just not for us. We just need the roads to be, you know, clean and.
Sure. Good adjective. I'm going to start this question about labor and workforce with you, Brad, since you talked about what you're doing to start exposing even younger kids to career paths in your industry. But I'd like to hear from each of your companies. How are you approaching this need to attract and retain the very best talent in a labor market that is frankly very challenging for companies all over the country, all over the world, regardless of industry? Brad, let's start with some of the other things you're doing besides the middle school initiative.
So we literally have people in our HR team that now are we call them like relationship managers, and their job is to develop and cultivate their relationships with schools. And I don't mean just four-year, you know, universities. I mean technical schools. I mean community colleges. I actually also mean literally high schools and sometimes junior highs, because you've got to reach them early and get them thinking about a career in semiconductors to get them to want to I mean, who wants to do semiconductors? I want to go to Google. I want to go to TikTok. I want to, you know, whatever, right? Semiconductors are boring. I've been in the semiconductor industry since '97 when I moved to Palo Alto, and you know, it's an awesome industry, but nobody wants to go into it much anymore, right? And so trying to get kids, literally, interested in it, is the focus of those relationship managers. That's probably the biggest thing that we do.
Interesting. Sean?
Yeah, I'll just tell you a couple things. We have to get rid of the stigma that maybe kids have about our industries about it being dark, dangerous, and dirty, because that is far from the truth. You know, when people tour our plants or locations, they're like, wow, this is like a hospital. It's so clean in here and sanitized, et cetera. So we've got to figure out a way to continue to get our youth to understand the excitement that we all deliver. One of the things that we're doing in North America, we approved a $100+ million initiative called Driving Possibilities. He talked about starting at 8th grade, but we're doing K through 12.
Wow. Okay. Sounds like you beat everyone to it, Sean, so you're the winner.
We're going to the womb.
We're going to when they come out of the hospital. But we're doing K through 12. But what's unique about Driving Possibilities, and this is really important, what we've discovered, and maybe in some of our underserved communities, you know, we live in a very, very diverse state in North Carolina. What we're discovering is a lot of kids want to have more and do more, but they don't have the wraparound services that they need. Like if I'm a kid in a classroom and I'm hungry, I'm not focused on school. I'm focused on when I'm going to get my next meal. So the Driving Possibilities initiative is not just to get our kids ready for the next career that they're going to take, but it's providing those services on campus: dental, healthcare, mental health, food insecurities, counseling. The systems that we're putting in place for the 13 communities that we serve around the country and eventually in North Carolina, we think it's a 360 approach. And if the kids can see, thank you very much. If the kids can see that we care, and because we do, and let's just call it like it is, 100% of our kids are not going to go to college. They're not. So why not us? Why not choose us after high school as an example? Or why not choose us after community college as an example? And why not choose us after you graduate college as an example? So it's building those building blocks now, and hopefully in the future we'll have the talent and workforce that we need. Businesses play a key role in that. We just can't leave it up to the educators who are extremely busy. They've got a lot going on. They're counting on us to also participate in the process.
Vinay?
Okay, so for us, I think we also like doing a lot of stuff that our friends just share here. But I think I want to summarize in 2 words that we are a newcomer here. So first of all, is a partnership. So one of the first things that myself and my team have done is that we'll talked and worked with the educational systems here, like universities, community college, and we have a lot of discussion with them, and we work with them and build a curriculum of what kind of people, what kind of employees, job profile that we are going to need by this time, so that they start recruiting and train for us. So that's a partnership that we started right away after I moved here. And number 2 is training. So for us, training, it's very key. And my VP of HR was like, a little bit of like, okay, how we are going to get this and get that. And I told her, Anna, her name, for VinFast training, it's very important. Imagine Vietnam is not a industrialized country, and over the past 5 years, we could train and educate and train a very skilled, workforce in Vietnam for doing the General Assembly. Can make a car. I'm sure we can do a much better job here. So one of the first things that I asked my leadership team is, look at our training center, what we are going to do. Imagine that we have to prepare them. So what we are doing is we put our people, we hire people like from 3 to 6 months in advance and put them through our training center. So they won't be learned from like industrial skills, Kaizens or all the production skills before they can go and work in our manufacturing workshop. So partnership and training.
Thank you. I want to shift back to electric vehicles and the outlook for the industry. the billions in investment, the thousands of jobs at each of your three companies are either tied directly, in the case of Toyota and VinFast, or very closely to what that near and midterm outlook is for EVs. Tell us where you see demand and implementation of infrastructure to support electric vehicles over that, say, these next 2 to 5 years, give or take, and are there transportation policy ideas that this audience may take from you on how we accelerate that so that you can be selling more of your products to support this industry? Brad, we'll start with you, then go to Vinay, and end with you, Sean.
Okay. No problem. So I think from a transportation infrastructure, what is everybody's biggest worry about an EV? It's range anxiety. So you need a great battery. You need multiple charging stations along the places where you drive. You need our silicon carbide to allow for faster, higher charging. And that's literally, I mean, sorry, but our product allows you to charge more, faster, period. It's not only in the car and taking the energy from the battery to the inverter, but literally silicon carbide, you cannot have a fast charging station without using silicon carbide. In fact, probably most of the fast charging stations in the US today, either through having our chips or having our silicon carbide substrates that we've sold to our competitors, chances are pretty darn good that it's got our silicon carbide in it. And so from an infrastructure standpoint, if we don't have the charging infrastructure in place, this growth will just be slower than it needs to be. I think a bunch of us probably saw that, last year worldwide, 10% EVs. We're a couple years early on 10%. I don't know. I know you're thinking about it. I know you're thinking about it. Did you think it was going to get to 10% in 2022? We did not. But that just means keep building faster.
Right.
And so that's why we're here, right? I mean, we're going to spend a decade, from our perspective, behind in supply. We will not catch up in this decade. We know that.
Interesting. Vinay, how about you? So what's the outlook from VinFast perspective?
Okay, so according to Bloomberg forecast on the demands, so they said that the future sales, future purchase of vehicles, 50% won't be EVs. So the outlook and the potential of the market is there. So I agree with him is that the first things that we need to think of is the infrastructure, the charging, the fast charging stations. We need to build that. But speaking of charging, we did ourselves, VinFast, we did a survey to our potential customer. 80% of the customer, they wouldn't charge at home. So they want to charge the EV, just like they're doing with a smartphone. So what we need is also a policies and incentive scheme for the people, for the homeowners, the customers. They can install the home charging at home, at their home, and charge the vehicles there. That will, help, people convert from traditional ICEs into EVs. And of course, I already mentioned that what we need is the transportations, infrastructure, the airports, the port, and also the roads, the rails, and all of that, so that we can really move things in our supply chain. So.
Right. Thank you, Sean. Toyota obviously has given a lot of thought to this issue as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure a lot of you may have seen on the news how we feel about the electrification movement. If we didn't believe in it, obviously we wouldn't be sitting here today. But I will tell you this, we have more of a philosophy over the next 10 to 20 years that this is going to be a gradual progression, and it's not just going to be combustible and then electric all of a sudden. We have more of a portfolio approach to this. If anyone in this audience wants to have a combustible engine, we want to still offer that to you. If you want a plug-in hybrid, we want to offer that to you. If you want a regular hybrid, we want to offer that to you. If you want a fuel cell, which we are the leader in right now, we want to offer that to you. And if you want a full-fledged EV, battery electric vehicle, we want to offer that to you. So it's more of a portfolio approach for us. However, just like Ann said, it is gradually getting to the point where 50% is going to probably be electric vehicles. But we don't believe that's tomorrow. We think that's going to take a few years. Now, a lot of my counterparts and friends at the other OEMs are making like declarations as of this year, no more combustible engines. But Toyota hasn't done that because we really believe that the customer should have some options, and we're going to continue to provide those options. One of the things you may have noticed in my slide is we said hybrid and fully electric battery, because if you want a hybrid, we want to be able to provide that for you. So for us, it's more of a portfolio approach until we get to the point where the customer tells us, no, all I want is an EV. But we still have people coming up to us and saying, you know what, I've got this 67 Chevy in the back that I still want to drive. So we're going to continue this portfolio approach until the industry and the customer tell us otherwise.
So charging infrastructure came up consistently, at least in a couple of the responses. Besides that, what other improvements to the transportation network here in North Carolina would be helpful, not just for your companies to be successful with your manufacturing facilities, but that might also help accelerate or enable this transition to vehicle electrification? I'll throw that out there for anyone who wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'll start real quick. The thing that I would like to see more of in 2023 and beyond is predictive studies on how people move in our communities. Rural becoming more urban, urban becoming more rural. Are our streets, lights, capacity, subdivisions going up everywhere, businesses going up everywhere? Are we really proactive on what needs to happen in the state? Or are we reactive when people get to a board meeting and say, hey, I can't even go to the store without it taking me 40 minutes. It used to take me 5.
Yeah.
So my suggestion or recommendation to the DOT as an example is, and they may already be doing this and I don't know, would be predictive measures on how people move.
Are there some places that you've personally visited that you've seen have started to take some of these steps that could get to this future state that you're talking about?
Yeah, so I just moved here from Frisco, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, Texas. And for those of you who know, Texas is booming specifically in that region. So they're starting to figure out a way to get creative on how people move. Some of the places that people lived in went from a community of 100,000 and they've swelled to 350,000 in 5 years. So if you have the same road, same system, you're not going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, great point.
And I can promise you this, all the Chamber of Commerces in this state, they're looking for more business every day. So we just have to make sure our infrastructure keeps up.
Absolutely. Brad or Vinay, anything you want to add to improvements to the transportation network that might help your businesses?
Well, this one, yeah, definitely is helping our people. I wish to have like more trains, routes, faster trains, like speed. I'm dreaming about like bullet train, for example. So that, because the thing is, if they don't have to drive few hours to walk from, because they far away, they just take like a bullet train for 1 hour, and then we don't have to really compete on workforce, right? Because they can live anywhere.
So transportation is a way to facilitate that workforce.
Yeah, the
commute.
workforce.
And then
yeah.
widening the workforce.
Because you see that one of the top, topics or like concern or worries, it's really workforce.
Yeah.
So we are attracting a lot of big companies here. We definitely need to talk about that, and we need to also recruit people from neighboring as well. So if they have to drive a few hours to work, and it's difficult.
That's hard. Yeah, absolutely. Brad, anything you want to add to transportation network
I'll
improvements?
pull a little bit on the thread that he started, and I think that's, one of my undergrad majors was in urban land planning. And so when you see this explosive growth around the triangle, it's like, are we stepping back and are we planning the community in a way that will make it easier to live in, including obviously the transportation infrastructure? I'm sure that that's happening at some level here, but it's, that being said, I always laugh when people in the Triangle complain about traffic, because I've lived in Chicago and San Francisco, and the 10 minutes of rush hour on I-40 is it's really not a big deal.
It's a bit junior varsity traffic, right? I bet. I'm going to ask a question here about clean energy and the role that you heard the governor talk earlier about some of the work that he and the legislature have partnered together on to ensure that North Carolina can be this center of the clean energy economy. So I'll ask that, and then I'm going to go to a couple of quick audience questions, and I'll circle back with one final question for panelists. But let's start with clean energy. We've taken a lot of steps here in North Carolina. You heard the governor talk about how do we reduce emissions, how do we meet those sustainability goals that companies have. I'll start with anyone who wants to, but help us understand the role of clean energy, including things like the Clean Transportation Plan that was talked about this morning. How does that factor into what your companies are doing or where you're choosing to do business? Who wants to start there, Vinay?
Well, I can start first. Clean energy, it's what we're, working on, and that's our, mission as well. We produce fully electric vehicles and zero emissions as well. So what I can see that our company can contribute to that is also I really want to see that we put more clean and green vehicles on the streets of North Carolina. Currently, I understand and I know that the EVs, the green vehicles, is only 3% of the total vehicles of our state. And VinFast's role is really to raise that ratios. And also with VinFast here, with our, training the workforce, we would like to contribute to really creating and training to workforce that is skilled and educated and trained in clean energies and technology and smart technologies, and they will contribute more to the state, so that it's coming up out of my mind.
Okay, great, thanks. Brad or Sean?
No, go ahead. So what I would say is, given what our products do and what they allow our customers to do, depending on their application, they're coming to us to get our parts because it allows them to hit their clean energy goals. And it's not just in EVs, it's in server farms. You can use a heck of a lot less energy by using silicon carbide solutions. And so, they're pulling it from us as opposed to us pushing it to them. They need our products, our silicon carbide, to be able to meet their goal, their clean energy goals. And so that's a nice place to be, and we're here to help them to do that.
Yeah. Sean?
Yeah, and I'll just say that, one quick example is we partner with Packard, who builds a lot of the tractor trailers, et cetera, with a fuel cell project that's been really, really successful from a zero carbon perspective. And we're hoping to duplicate that. And you notice I didn't say Toyota vehicles, but Packard vehicles, because we believe the enemy is carbon, no matter where it is. How do we reduce that? But that technology that we're allowing them to participate in, the fuel cell technology we have, we think is going to be a big deal. We can transfer that, throughout the country. And also, when we launch our plant, it's going to be a zero carbon plant.
Wow.
At SOP, zero carbon, the entire facility. So that's going to be a big deal for us as well. So the journey, and I really do mean it's a journey to get there, is really important. And from your leadership team all the way down to the team member that's building batteries, they've got to believe in it.
Can you tell, for those who may not be familiar, how does a company like Toyota get to that zero emission, zero carbon for such a large facility as that?
Yeah, it's a matter of from when you start moving dirt to the walls you put up, to the electricity and everything that you put in the building. How do you move fluids and things of that nature? All of that is pre-planned before you start. So we're in the process of making sure we're checking all of those boxes. Like, I'll give you an example. When you clear 1,800 acres, there's a lot of trees that you have to take down. But my commitment, and my team knows this, is we're replanting every tree that we remove. We're going to replant it. I can promise you that. So it's having that mindset from when you start moving dirt to when you start producing batteries. There's so many different facets that impact that zero carbon footprint.
Great, thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining a little bit more. We're going to go to a couple of quick audience questions. So again, if you've got a question, please step up to one of these two microphones that are in these two center aisles. You could just say real briefly your name, and if you could try to be very brief with the question so we can get through a couple ones from the audience. So I'm going to start with, hey, Steve, how are you? Steve Rao, please, what's your question?
Thank you, Chris. My name is Councilmember Steve Rao with the town of Morrisville, and I just want to thank all of you for your investments in the state. My question has to do with the fact that Chris Chung and the governor have done such a great job growing jobs that in Morrisville, we were notified a few weeks ago, actually, that because of the significant growth of pharma and life sciences in our town over the last 18 months, the needs of our power have gone from 100 megawatts in 18 months to 125 megawatts, and that we're running out of energy and power. So part of the challenge is they're building a substation in my neighborhood, but that's a conversation for another time. But my question is, to what extent, and I want all of you to address this question, including Chris, how do we address also the energy needs and water needs as we continue to grow? And how do we factor that in as a policy perspective in terms of clean energy and sustainability? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, Sean, you just alluded to moving here from a high growth area, so if you want to chime in real quick, Vinay.
Yeah, that's a
sounds like
really
you have
good
an
question you ask. And just like I mentioned to you with us hiring people, it's a part of the business responsibility as well. It's also a part of our responsibility to help with that grid relief, as an example. One of the things in several of our sites across North America, you know, we have the solar parks where we're trying to be self-sufficient. It may not be able to provide power for the entire site, so I'm not going to say that. But if we can have a small solar park that can help provide some of the relief on the grid. In addition to that, it's important that when we're buying and purchasing equipment and tools and things of that nature, that we're challenging our vendors for the most high efficient, most robust, but also energy reducing equipment and space. I think that's really important. So we play a significant role in that.
Vinay or Brad, you want to chime in on that question?
Well, I just want to add to what Sean just said. You know, like last week we got a project meeting here with one of our potential equipment provider for one of the shop. And one of the key criteria for us to like bring them into the, you know, like later routes of selecting is the energy efficiency. So we, that is one of the key, you know, like selection criteria of our vendors. And also, I've been in discussion with some of the solar energy as well. So we're also thinking of doing maybe solar on the roofs or, you know, so that we can, you know, self-supplying the energy. But bear in mind, when we, you know, like build our factories and select the equipment providers, energy saving or energy efficiency is always in our strategies.
That's a great point. Anything?
I don't have much to add there. I mean, literally, when you begin talking to the state about, hey, I'm thinking of putting this big facility here, one of the first two things you talk about is electricity and water, right? And so planning that from the beginning, and then also trying to figure out ways to use less of both. The best energy is the energy you never use. Again, silicon carbide works wonderful for that. Thank you very much. And so it's just a process, but it's all of the above type solution. The great thing about building new plants, though, when you think about how efficient your plant's going to be and your plant's going to be and our plant's going to be compared to our incumbent stuff,
right.
It is literally night and day.
Right.
I mean, it's almost embarrassing what the old stuff was that was built 30 years ago, right? I mean, so that's where you use as little as you can at every turn.
That's a great point about the evolution of manufacturing technology and efficiency. Time for a quick question down this aisle. Please, your name and your question, please.
Hi, I'm Abigail Bull. Thank you all for your time today. My question is, you've each mentioned the larger cities and universities that you'll draw from, all of which have existing infrastructure. How do you each approach the potential need for the development of housing, groceries, schools, and so on in the areas local to your facilities?
So another growth-related question. I don't know who wants to tackle this one.
Yeah,
well,
go ahead.
I'll start. Again, it comes back to, great job, Chris. You just got 5,000 jobs into Chatham County in the space of 1 year. Where are they all going to live? Where are they all going to go to school? And that's where all of the communities that we're in need to start planning the infrastructure today, even though, we're going to have 1,800 new jobs out in Siler City. They're not all going to be there in the next couple of years, obviously. And so working closely with them to make sure that they're planning ahead is critical, because yes, we need to, we're gonna, the 421 corridor, there's gonna be thousands and thousands of people moving there over the coming decade, and making sure that the infrastructure of housing and schools are there, we are happy to help. We are happy to help. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll just add, in the Greensboro area, I could speak on that. Dr. Oakley, the superintendent there, as an example of schools, they just got a bond approved of a $1.7 billion for new schools, as an example. So they're reinventing themselves from a school and development perspective, taking out some of the old and bringing in the new kind of thing. So they're not only doing that, obviously, for the betterment of our children, to make sure they're going to have the great education that they need, but they also see that the support that's needed for some of these businesses that are coming in is really important. So I think the state is starting to recognize that you got to bring us here, but the infrastructure has to support as well. Just one example from Greensboro.
You want to add anything?
Yeah, you might notice already that the infrastructure around, the site that we selected is already started. We are in Chatham County and a little bit of Sanford. And I think the local government, authorities already looking into that, like schools, healthcare, infrastructure, because obviously we'll need to hire a lot of people, and people is going to work for our plant, and then we need to look at all that. So we've been working closely with local authorities for those infrastructure. So it's being worked on.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to close out with one last question for our panelists before I hand things back to Lisa. You've got a lot of policymakers, legislators, the movers and shakers who literally are driving our business climate and competitiveness in North Carolina. I'd like to close out with thoughts on one or two pieces of advice from each of you on how North Carolina can stay economically competitive. It can be transportation related, but we talked about workforce, we talked about managing growth, electric reliability and sustainability. There's a lot of different things that make North Carolina competitive today, but what do we need to keep doing, do more of, do less of, so that we can continue to attract investments like the ones each of you represent? So I'll start with ladies first, and then we'll go to Brad, and Sean will give you the last word on this.
No problem.
So a couple pieces of advice for the folks in the audience.
Well, I like to be a little bit of selfish here because we are manufacturing EVs. I really, really want to. I know that our state is talking a lot about charging infrastructure, but I really, really want to see more, fast charging station in our state, so we need to work on that so that we can, have a higher ratio of electrification in our state, and build and maintain our green and beautiful state like this.
Very good. Very good charging infrastructure. Brad.
What I would say maybe is it's not just having a bunch of great shovel-ready or close to shovel-ready mega sites. It's also having, for the woman who just asked that question, it's having an easily demonstrable plan of where are those people going to live, where are they going to shop, where are they going to go to school. And that's sort of the next step that we all think about once we sign the MOU. But it's being able to show that, because that's, if anything's going to limit the success of us, it's that we're not going to get the workforce when we need it.
Right.
Period, full stop.
Great point. Sean, last word on this.
Yeah, and this will probably show my age, but you guys remember the E.F. Hutton commercials. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. Yeah, maybe 3 hands going up. But I would just tell them to continue to listen to the community, the businesses that you've brought in, and to take Ben Fass's comment, react fast to it, because we're in a place now in this world and country where speed is really, really important. We don't have a whole lot of time to wait. So I would just request that they continue to listen and have the pulse of the community.
Great advice to end with. I'm going to ask Lisa Mathis to come back up on stage, but before she does that, let's join in a big round of applause for Sean Suggs, Brad Cohn, and Vinay Nguyen. Great insights today. Thank you, guys.
And Chris, we appreciate your efforts too, so another round of applause for Chris, please. We are so glad that we can collaborate together with our local, state, federal, and international partners to help grow our economy. Now, what you've been waiting for, it's time to break for lunch. So lunch is downstairs. Please be sure to visit our sponsors and exhibitors. They've got a lot of cool stuff to give you and to share with you. So please do that. And as a reminder, our breakout sessions will start at 1:30 this afternoon. Thank you so much.